Hey guys, I'm Ben and I put new videos out like this every week, so if you enjoyed today's video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to have you watching along. I think I've been complaining about the windshield on the Gen 3 KLR 650 essentially since I first bought the bike, and you guys have kind of had to deal with it a little bit too whenever I take this thing out on the road. You guys may have already heard a bit of the wind noise. I do wear earplugs all the time when I ride this bike. The windscreen at my size anyways, 5'10", 31-inch inseam height, pretty much shoots the wind right at kind of my windshield on my helmet. So a huge thanks to 3D Cycle Parts for sending me out their new windshield riser kit, and this also comes with the ram mount here that'll get stuck kind of in the center of the windscreen risers. They also sent me out their Buzzkill, and then I purchased this cradle for my Garmin Nuvi. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it though. I guess we'll just have to see. And then to mount that, I would just need this ram mount that 3D Cycle Parts sent me. So there'll be links down in the description for all this stuff if you want to pick it up. Let's get this stuff on the bike and take this thing out for a test ride. I've had quite a few questions about my sort of off-the-wall GPS setup here. So what we've got is just a 3D printed bracket that I had to modify to fit on this slightly larger GPS rail. And then because this has an extremely hard buzz to it that will destroy any electronic piece of equipment that you attach to it, I've actually got a foam floaty pad for an action camera, VHB taped to the mount, and then VHB taped to the back of my Garmin Nuvi 50LM. This has worked surprisingly well, but it's probably not something I would recommend doing. That is some strong stuff. Of course, don't want to overdo this. We're going into a 3D printed part. So I swapped the ram ball for the Buzzkill on the center GPS mount here, and I do have to pick up a few more fasteners. The ones that came with the Buzzkill are just a hair too short to make it all the way through this bracket, so I've got these instead. I have been putting this thread locker on everything, but I will not be putting it on the fasteners that actually go into these little well nuts here. If you put Loctite into those, you are not getting that fastener back out without tearing the rubber off. So we'll give you a little bit of a comparison here. This is going to be new GPS location versus old. Obviously angle changes a little bit. Well, I don't think this is going to work. So obviously this ram mount connection here that I've got is way bigger than it needs to be. It's just the only thing that I had laying around, and I guess maybe you could do something like that. But I mean, even there, I think this is just too much weight for this Buzzkill. So it looks like for now anyway, I'm just going to end up VHB taping this directly to the Buzzkill mount. That'll put it at a bit of an odd angle. I'd really rather have it tilted that way. Just make sure I got room for my cable there. And of course, the VHB tape requires a good amount of pressure to get it to stick. I would definitely not recommend doing this with a $1, $2, $3, or $400 GPS, but since I picked this up used off of eBay for 20 bucks, I'm not really too worried about it. Now for the exciting part. So there we go. That definitely changes the look of the bike. And I've got to say, I do wish that maybe it was angled back just a little bit more or a little bit lower, something. I don't know. I feel like it just stands up just a little bit more than I would like. I've got to say though, all the brackets on the inside really do look nice. It's not maybe quite factory, but I don't know, I guess maybe even better than factory. It sort of makes it look like a Dakar rally tower or something. It definitely does go along with the aesthetic of the bike, and I think will work quite well. But there's only one way to know that for sure. So let's saddle up, take the KLR out on the highway, the back roads, and in some mud, and see if I can find any issues with this. Well, as usual, I picked an insanely windy day to do windshield testing. So I got the Tusk Olympus bag on here, so I can't seem to live without one. See if that gets in the way when we're off-road. That D-Sport just hums. Woo! as you can see, the GPS is essentially useless in this position. I guess I can kind of make it out, but that'll definitely need to get adjusted. I'm kind of wondering if I can just take in those straps on the buzzkill. Maybe that'll aim it better. Definitely seems like that works excellent. There's like no vibration up there at all anymore, so that's awesome. As far as the wind protection goes, I think maybe a different shield would make this a heck of a lot better, but as hopefully you guys can hear, I guess, amongst the actual sideways wind gusts here, it seems like this really cleaned things up for me quite a bit. It's shooting the air over my peak of my helmet, obviously depending on where I sit, maybe I pick some of that up. But in a fairly comfortable riding position, the only spots that I'm really getting blasted from the wind are kind of at the sides here, and that's, I think, just because of that sort of goofy shape of the windshield that can kind of get blasted past there. But honestly, I mean, there's a pretty good clean air pocket. I can kind of start to feel the buffeting there and there. And then as you go higher up, it kind of opens up a little bit, so there's a really nice clean air pocket here, which is honestly a heck of a lot better. I don't really love how the top of the windshield is just kind of at the bottom line of my sight, but I feel like I can still find a good spot to sit where it doesn't really get in the way, and I'm still getting a good amount of wind protection. Obviously a little bit of a shock to have it all of a sudden up there, but honestly, the more I ride it, the less I even notice that it's there. I have noticed the D-Sport is really wandering today. Did a low fender test with the Tenere 700, and after realizing how much of an impact the high fender that I had on that bike did, or had, I'm kind of wondering if maybe I should see if I can find a low fender for this. How the times have changed. Is that right around 60 miles an hour? I've got to say, I am thoroughly impressed with the nice space that this gives you to sit in, even with the kind of blustery, ridiculous winds that keep whipping past the sides of the windshield every once in a while. This still is a very comfortable place to sit. I'm super happy to have this on the bike. It definitely makes you feel a little bit more at ease and not like you're getting pushed around so much by the wind. I do have to say that the sort of convexness of the shield sort of, I don't know, throws you off a little bit. The fact that it's clear, I think, maybe will help me off-road a bit, but honestly, I almost wonder if a darkened shield would be better, because it's not going to be something you're trying to look through. Well, off-road, the GPS is like absolutely perfect to look at. I don't know that it's necessarily worth leaving it there just for that. Shouldn't really be staring at a GPS when you're standing up riding. Definitely don't feel like I'm anywhere near close enough to bash my face on it, which of course is a good thing. I definitely did kind of get that feeling before, where now, I mean, you'd have to be really far forward to come into contact with it. So that's a good thing. Feel myself kind of bouncing off of my tank bag every once in a while, so that's a little bit annoying. I think there's a little more space on the Tenere, so that's why I never had a problem with it there. But now I feel like I definitely do. As far as kind of looking through it down at the trail, I don't know, I guess maybe I am glad it's clear. Seems a little bit easier to look through, I guess, at close range. I think maybe on some single track it might get in the way. The GPS, honestly, is just about kind of where the front fender is, but honestly, you should be planning ahead a little bit more than right in front of your tire most of the time anyways, so I don't necessarily know that it's anything that should be of any concern. And I think most people that are riding KLRs don't necessarily want to do single track, so off-road gets a thumbs up as well. So after that initial test ride, there was a couple things that I decided I wanted to mess with a bit. One of them was readjusting the straps on here, and like I noted in the first part of the video here, that did work quite well. I just loosened the plate up and I was able to adjust these to kind of get a little bit more angle. But now, as you can see, I've got my signature action camera mount rigged up there, and I've got the Garmin 60 LM instead of the 50, so this is a much bigger screen. And the reason that I've got this all set up on here this way now is because I've got the risers moved down from the original high position that I had them in down to the low position. While I was sitting high in the saddle on the way out and able to look over the screen on the way back, I was kind of slumped down a bit, and this got in my way a lot more, and especially kind of going up and down some hills, this kind of annoyed me to the point that I definitely wanted to move it down. But another thing that I think will really be helpful, or hopefully be helpful, having this a little bit lower, is that these kind of wings here on the side of the windshield are going to block a little bit more air. Originally, I thought some of the side wind blast that I was getting was from this cutout here. It turns out it's actually getting shot off of the top of the fairing, and it was able to sneak under the windshield, where now with this in this lower position, I'm hoping this is going to cut down on that a bit. But of course, there's only one way to test that out. So let's saddle up yet again. We'll take this out for a ride and see how it does in the low position.
So I think this is definitely the winning position for me. I can tell that if I sit up a little bit straighter, I think, than I usually do, I can kind of start to pick up a little bit of more audible wind noise at the top of my helmet. It's honestly not enough that I would say I wouldn't want to sit like this for a long period of time. However, tonight I don't have earplugs in, so I can kind of find myself slouching down a little bit just to get rid of that noise. But even without earplugs, I'm pretty impressed with how quiet this seems. I'm thinking that having it in this lower position does help cut down on that side wind just a little bit, but it is still definitely there. And there's a good blast of air coming right off and kind of hitting me in the side of the helmet. And I think if you could get a windshield that would come down a bit farther to cut that off, man, this would just be absolutely amazing. Even as this just is right now today, though, I've got to say this is so much better. It is a world of difference compared to the stock setup. I think for the minimal amount of time and cost that you have into these risers by the time you're done with them is worth absolutely every penny and every second. And I do have to say I really do like the look of this in this position, and maybe that's a little more why I'm leaving it this way. But in either position, I think it makes the bike look better. It definitely makes it perform better, and I just don't see a reason not to go with it. It's better off-road. I would say go for it if you guys are interested in it. If you are, there'll be a link down in the description. Take care, stay safe, stay swanky, get out, enjoy this beautiful world any chance you get. And if you can't do that right now, here's some more videos to check out in the meantime. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more like this every week. There's some deer out.